What up, guys? So today is my 8th Spanish lesson, and today is gonna be on cómo decir la hora, which means how to tell time in español. So before I get into the lesson, I just got a few things to say real quick. If you haven't watched my other 7 Spanish lessons, make sure you go watch those because those are also really, really helpful. And make sure to subscribe down below today because I will be posting a Spanish lesson like every single day. But for some reason, if you guys don't see one posted on that day, don't freak out. It's because I didn't have any ideas for that lesson. But yeah, so the Spanish lesson, it is really, really easy to learn once you get the hang of it and stuff like that. Because at first it might be confusing, telling the time in Spanish. How do you do that? But don't worry, I'm going to be teaching you it today. So just to give you guys a little brief info real quick. Let me just turn my camera around. I'm going to be teaching you how to tell. Alright, so if you see right there, that's a clock. Now if you see up there, hold up. Alright, so if you see up there, right there, that's a clock. Now that clock doesn't show the actual time on it. But in case you guys are confused, what the hell is that beeping noise? But in case you guys are confused on what the time is right now, you're gonna be more confused once I tell you in Spanish. But don't worry, like I said, once you get, it's all smooth sailing from here. So anyway, so with the clock I just showed you, so the clock that I just showed you right now, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. Here, real quick. I'll show you one more time. Try to get the time on that clock right now. Now, like I said, this clock is super behind, so it doesn't tell you the actual time. So even though it doesn't show you the actual time, try to guess the time on the clock right now. Try to get the time on the clock. Alright, so you still haven't figured it out yet? Well, the time on the clock right now, look at the... look at the bigger hand. Alright, so the bigger hand is on the 8, alright? So always pay attention to the bigger hand. Alright, so the bigger hand is on the 8 and the smaller hand is on the 2. So if you're wondering what time it is right now, the time is 8:10. But like I said before, that clock is super. So the time is 8:10 on that clock, right? So in order to say that in Spanish, you would say ocho diez. Ocho, which means 8, and then diez. Alright, so that's just little info, a little example on how to tell the time before we get into the lesson. So that's just a little info. Now let's get into the actual lesson. Alright, how to tell time on a clock. Alright, so what time is it right now? Alright, so it's 12:10 right now. So you would say doce, which means 12, and then you would say diez, which means 10. You could just say that, right? Because people will understand what you're saying. But if you want to make it, but if you want to be more specific, you can say son las, which means it is doce diez. It is 12:10. But if you want to say it is 12:10 in the afternoon, you can say son las 12:10 de la tarde. It is 12:10 in the afternoon. Alright, so any number from 2 all the way up to 12, you're going to use son las. Because son las is the plural way. So for example, if it was 2 o'clock right now, you would say son las dos. Son las dos. Or you might want to say son las dos de la tarde. It is 2 in the afternoon. So any number that starts from 2 all the way up to the number 12, you're going to use son las for the start of it. But now there's one singular number. Now for the singular number, there's only now the only singular number that there is just 1 o'clock. So for 1 o'clock, instead of saying son las, you're going to say es la. Es la una. Es la una. Pay attention to what I'm saying right here. Es la una. Notice how I use the feminine one and not the masculine one. Because like any time, you know, like when the, because you know, like any, it's like, you know, like any time that starts with 1, it can be like, you know, like 1:15, 1:30. It's still gonna be feminine, and it's still gonna be singular. So you would say, so for example, you know, like 1:15, you know, es la una quince. Es la una quince. It is 1:15. Or if you wanted to, instead of saying quince, because, you know, like, quince is, like, you know, like the regular way to say it. But, you know, like, each time goes by 15 minutes, you know? So every single minute goes by 15. Because, you know, like, 15, 30, 45, like, you know what I'm saying? So if you want to say the 15-minute mark in Spanish, you would say cuarto. Cuarto. Not cuatro, because that's 4. Cuarto. So you would say, so if you wanted to say, you can just say this. Es la una cuarto. It still means the same thing. So instead of saying es la una quince, you can say es la una cuarto. Because it still means 1:15. Just like with 1:30, you know? Because like with 1:30, normal people would say es la una quince. You know, actually, no. You know what? I shouldn't have said normal people, because that's kind of weird. Let me rephrase that for you. The normal way to say it, and how most people would say it, is es la una treinta. Es la una treinta. But the other way to say like the 30-minute mark is media. So you can say es la una media. Instead of saying es la una treinta, you can say es la una media. So yeah, and the 45-minute mark is just like the regular old 45. 45. Es la una 45. And like the hour mark, that's just like, and you know, like the hour mark, you know, like that's just the regular old 60-minute mark, you know, 60. But you wouldn't say 60, because like if it's 1:45 right now, and like 15 minutes pass, it'll already be like, you know, like an hour. So, because okay, alright, so let me just give you something. If it was 1:45 right now, and 15 minutes pass, what time will it be? I'm gonna give you 5 seconds. So I haven't figured it out yet? Okay, so 1:45 plus 10 equals 1:55, right? It'll be 1:55 after 10 minutes go by. Now just add an extra 5 minutes to that, and it'll be 2. So if it was 1:45 right now, it'll be 2 o'clock after 15 minutes. So you would just say, instead of saying the 60-minute mark, which is 60, don't say 60. Just say dos, because, you know, like after 15 minutes, it's going to be 2 o'clock. If it's 1:45 right now, and 15 minutes go by, it's going to be 2 o'clock. So just say dos. You know what I mean? Now, alright, so let me just get another point across. Alright, so the o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We do not have the o'clock in Spanish. In case you're wondering, Charlie, if there's no o'clock in Spanish, then how can you tell if it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night? That's different because okay, so if you wanted to tell if it's morning, you wouldn't say, if you wanted to tell if it was morning right now, you wouldn't say, or you wouldn't say 8 o'clock. No, don't say that. Instead, what you should say is son las 8 de la mañana. That means it is 8 in the morning. Now, I know mañana means tomorrow, but when we use it in time, when we use it telling the time in Spanish, it means morning. Now, if you want to say it is 2 in the afternoon, you can say son las 2 de la tarde. It is 2 in the afternoon. And if you want to say it is 10 at night, you can say son las 10 de la noche. It is 10 at night. Alright, so that's for the o'clock part, the O. And just to get this out of the way, the O in the middle, 303, 203, 103. The O, you wouldn't say O, in the Spanish alphabet, because the O is actually different. You would say something similar to this. You would say, all right, so imagine if it was 5:05 right now, right? You would say cinco for 5. You would say cinco y cinco. Listen up. Cinco y cinco. So the O in Spanish, we actually use E, like the letter Y to say and. Okay, so I know that does not make sense, but that's just how we use it in Spanish. So cinco y cinco, which means 5:05. And if you wanted to say, what time it is an event at, the event is at. So if you want to say the event is at, you would say a la. If it's singular, for one, a la una cuarto. The event is at. Actually, you would say something like es a la una cuarto. The event is at 1:15. But if it was plural, like the number 2, you would say es a las 2. The event is at 2. Es a las 2. So pretty much all you're really looking for this lesson is if the time is singular, for one, if the time is singular, you would say if the time is singular, you can say one of these. You can say one of these things. You can either say es la una, which means it is 1. Always use the feminine one, by the way. If you want to say it is 1 in the afternoon, you could say es la una tarde. It is 1 in the afternoon. But if you want to say it is 1 in the morning, you can say es la una de la mañana. It is 1 in the morning. And once again, it is 1 in the afternoon. Es la una de la tarde. Alright, so that's for singular numbers. And I almost forgot one more thing. If you want to say the event is at 1, you can say es a la una. Es a la una, which means the event is at 1. Now, alright, so now that's for singular numbers. For plural numbers, you would say this. You would say son las, because son las is for plural. So for example, plural number is 2, right? 2 all the way up to 12. So imagine it's 2 o'clock right now. So you would say something like along the lines of this. Son las 2. It is 2. You can just say it is 2. But if you want to be more specific and I mean, you could say it is 2, but if it is 2, but like if you want to be more specific, so people know what you're really talking about, you can say son las 2 de la tarde. It is 2 in the afternoon, or you can say son las de la. Wait, no. Son las 2 de la mañana. It is 2 in the morning, and once again, son las 2 de la tarde. It is 2 in the afternoon. If you want to say what time is an event, you would say for plural numbers. Once again, plural numbers is 2 all the way up to 12. So you would say something along the lines of this: Es a las 2. Es a las 2. Wait, no. Es a las 2. The event is at 2. Because, we're doing plural. It's not singular anymore. So, and another thing that you should look out for is the o'clock. The o'clock gets replaced by mañana, which means morning. Mañana, which means morning. Tarde, which means afternoon. And noche, which means night. And one more thing is the O. Like the O in the middle. That gets replaced by with E. For example, 505, cinco y cinco. Cinco y cinco. So yeah, so whenever you're telling the time to someone, and I almost forgot one more thing. The 15-minute mark and the 30-minute mark, you can say quince. You can say, if you wanted to say quince and 30, you can say that. But the 15-minute mark and the 30-minute mark gets replaced by these. So the 15-minute mark is cuarto, and the 30-minute mark is media. So if you wanted to say those instead of quince and 30, feel free. Anyway, guys, so that's como decir la hora, which means how to tell time in español. So stay tuned for my 9th lesson, which I don't know what it's gonna be on yet. But when I find something, I'll let you guys know. So just a quick reminder, if you're telling the time to someone, make sure you use these tips that I gave you in this lesson. So yeah, guys, I'll see you later. Hasta la vista, baby. Hasta luego.